Good morning. Our hand today is going to be pocket aces here. 10-handed, 10 NL, aces in the cutoff, folds to me, open raise. Pretty standard open. And we get a call. This player I have marked as orange. You have to be careful with him. Looks to be a tight aggressive, playing 22-16 with 5% 3-bet stat. Calls 2-bets about 15% of the time. I do have quite a few notes because I've got over 600 hands with him. I've got called 2.5 big blinds in mid position versus mid position R5 with 5-5. Checked it down on an ace king 6 queen ace. So he was in position, never really took advantage of it. Now with his range, we could see that his pre-flop call is 16% from the button, so 7 out of 45. That's going to be pretty reliable. VPIP is 29% on the button. His 3-bet by position 7%. So I think we're looking at 7% plus another 16%. It's about 23% or so. So what I did was start with about 23% and then took off about 7. So I kind of think these are 3-bet ranges. Here 9s plus, ace 10, ace suited broadways, ace queen, ace king. Could include this king queen. But if we're going to include king queen off, we're going to probably also need to include ace jack off, and that's just going to, I think, make his range a little too broad here. But I think he's going to have like suited aces, suited connectors, lower pocket pairs, suited one gappers. I think this is going to be a suitable range for this player. The blinds folded, and we took a flop of jack 10-10. So jack 10-10 rainbow, and it's on me. What do? I ran GTO on this because I kind of think we're going to need it. See what GTO suggests. This guy's fold to c-bet stat when he is out of position is 43%. When he's in position, he's 70%. So he will fold. This is kind of a tough hand because I do think this is going to hit him somewhat. He's got the jacks. He's got some of the 10s that are here. Not a huge number of 10s, but he get hit. I think if I bet, he's going to probably call with some of the open-enders, some of the gut shots. So, if I bet, what does he call with? I think he's going to call with probably top pair plus, open-ender, probably the gut shot. Maybe the overcards. That doesn't really change much because the overcards are open-enders. It's a king queen along with the gut shots. Top pair plus is value, and then question is he going to call with like some of these lower pocket pairs as well? I mean, our hands figures to be good. With 2 10s on the on the flop, it's less likely villain has a 10. So I do think we're going to be good a lot of the time here, most of the time probably. But the question is, how do we proceed on the turn? With the various turn cards. So if we look at like the various turn cards, I think in this player, I think he obviously. Let's see if that changes it. Yeah. So just on versus his entire range, I think king and queen doesn't really help his range much. But if we go for a calling range, now you can see that really the hands that really improve his equity are going to be these lower cards. We're hoping for maybe like an ace, but even then a king's going to be, I think, kind of bad for us. A queen's going to be kind of bad for us. Let's see. Let's put that on here. See, you can see, I think a jack and 9, those hands are bad for us. I guess everything else is okay. However, how do we proceed if a king or a queen comes out? So I think here we're going to be looking at somewhat, some betting, some checking, and I think we're going to probably check our full house if we have it. We're going to probably check 3 of a kind if we have it. probably go for possibly a check raise on those. You know, we're deep. I think we're checking probably the open ender and probably our gut shots. And when we look at like our regular check raising range, oops. So we got quads, full house, 3 of a kind. When we look at a check raising range, I do think we're going to be check raising most of these. And then it sets up our C bets. And possibly not all of them. So I think this is another situation where we could probably check our aces. I think we would probably just check call our aces. But I think we would probably bet queens because we can always pick up. With the queens, we're blocking some of the straights. I think kings too. Kings might be a mixed strategy here. But I think overpairs might be checking. I think the top pairs are probably checking. Pocket pair below the boards are probably checking. You know, ace high. Oh, I'm sorry, betting. Top pair is probably betting. Pocket pair below the board's probably betting here. But I think we're doing so more as a bluff. And I think 5 is going to be where our cutoffs are. So I think we're checking those. Possibly check calling. Possibly check calling. So that could be part of the check calling range. Same thing, I think ace high. I don't think we're betting all of them. I think we're probably going to be some doing some check calling. I think we're betting the low ones and then check calling maybe these. I mean, those are gut shots. Like these are all going to be just basically bluffs that we're setting up here. Possibly like the ace eights as well. We're betting those as bluffs. And then the no mate hand, I think we're just going to be betting some that really have no hope. Like 8-7's a gut shot, but like 8-6, these hands aren't very good. Maybe like queen 5, queen 6. Maybe those we're just betting those. Again, we've got betting range or checking range, betting range is looking something like that. So I think that's what we're gonna have it set up. So we checked here. So let's go ahead and take out. Oops. Hold on, no. We're leaving checking. Okay. So what we're doing, we're taking these out. The ace high hands. Oops. Yeah, those were betting. The other ace highs were checking. We don't want any of those. So I think we're looking at like that. All right, so we checked. What does villain do? Villain checks behind. The question is, was he going to check everything? Would he bet? I'm going to say maybe a full house is going to be checking behind. So that's definitely in his range, but I think a 3 of a kind is going to be betting here. I think a top pair is going to be betting here. I think quads is going to be checking, but I think 3 of a kind is probably checking, and then top pair is probably checking, and then these pocket pair lower than the board are probably all checking. So what we'll do is we'll take out those. So that's his range. So we should be ahead with our checking range. We do have quite a few hands. So the king comes out. I think this probably helps my range more than his. Let's check it out once we have this. King helps my range more than his. Definitely, you could see that. So I think once the king comes, we should probably be betting here. And I didn't. I think we should be betting for a little bit of value. We have the gut shot. We've got an overpair. I think king 10 calls. Well, I'm sorry, king jack calls. If he had a king jack, if he didn't bet it, but king queen's calling. King queen offsuit's gonna call. If he has like a queen jack, I think queen jack's gonna continue. King 9, if he has king 9 in there, it's gonna continue. So I think here, when we look at, you know, my range, I still think quads and full house are going to be checking. I think we're going to hope for villain to like catch something to pay us off. But I think the straight's going to be betting here. 3 of a kind should be betting. I think top pair should be betting too. I don't think we want to be tricky. We have the ace of hearts. So we block the heart draw. I just think we go for a delayed c-bet. I kind of feel like, though, once we check, maybe we have to continue checking. So maybe we continue with the straight and 3 of a kind, knowing that it's unlikely that we're really going to be paid off unless villain has a monster hand, especially since that king really helps us. So I think maybe that's it. Maybe we're going to be checking basically our entire range here, minus junky hands. So I don't mind checking the queens, but I think we would be betting weak pair hands. We're going to be betting those. Probably the no-made hands we're going to be betting. I think we could bet the flush draws. You know, basically all of our draws we're just going to be betting, hoping to just, you know, if we take it down, we take it down. So something like that. So I checked. I'm going to take all of those out and say that that's where we're at. And obviously some of them, oops, gut shot, 2 card gut shots, 8-7. No, we're going to bet that. Open-ended straight draw. Not all of those. Queen 10, those are all pairs. Probably those. We don't. Open-enders probably are betting. Do we have pairs there? No, I think we're good for there. So I guess we're checking about 50% of the time. Villain checks again. And once villain checks, again, I think his top pair is probably betting. So we'll leave the full house. Maybe he has it. Although now it would be a great time for him to bet. So I'm going to drop that down to about 50% or so. Oops. Because I think most players are going to be betting to try to get some value. So you can see that we're just dominating him at this point. And then another king comes out, and at this point, I don't see any reason to bet here. If we're good, we're good. If we're not, we're like way behind. But I think villain would have been betting. So all that we can do is hope that he calls, because I think if we bet, full house is going to be calling, but he's going to fold everything else. So I like the check here on the turn. So let's go back and actually let's see what he has. He shows a 9-7. 9-7 is definitely in his range. So we have that. So let's take the notes on this player right now, and then we're going to check the GTO strategy. So called 3 big blind RF cutoff RFI in button with 9-7 diamonds, and then he is in position. Check on a jack of clubs, 10 of spades, 10 of hearts, king of diamonds. All right, so we have that. Let's check out GTO. So I had automatically built the tree. We are the aggressor, and it looks like we are betting 35.6% of the time. Aces do look like we're betting. I think if we had it, queens are more the mixed. We do have some betting with the 2s, 3s, and 4s. Checking with those with the middle pairs. That's okay. So it looks like we're betting quads most of the time, but the full house we're mostly checking here. About 50-50. 50 bet, 50 check. 3 of a kind. More bet. So I think I was going to check raise with those. Overpair, mostly betting here. Top pair, we're mostly checking. Okay. And weak pair, we're mostly checking. That's a little different. So let's check our check raises. So we check, he bets. What are we raising? We're calling. Oh, we're check raising quads. We're check raising the full house. We're check raising some of the 3 of a kinds. So the ones with the ace. Some of the 3 of a kinds. Some with the ace. Check calling over pairs, the top pairs, the weak pairs. I think that was about what I would have check called with. Some of our open-ended straight draws. Which one of these? Queen 9. Queen 9 and 9-8 are check raising. I guess the 9-8, you're check raising that because your king queen has the other open ender and the queen 9, but it looks like we're also raising the queen 9. You know, with those we're blocking the king queen straights, so maybe we're going to try to get some of those to fold, possibly. Check raising some of the gut shots. These are the king 9s, so the 9s seem to be interesting for a check raise. But we didn't. We checked, and then villain checked behind him. Now we have the king of hearts. So now at this point, I think that helps us. Yeah, GTO suggesting we bet all the way. Bet all of the hands that we checked before. If we check and villain checks behind, I can't remember. It's king of diamonds. And then you could see that our range is drastically different. So we're going to take some notes here. 28th today. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. So pre-flop play I think is okay. Flop is a mixed strategy. We have some of the ideas down between checking, between c-betting, checking, check call, and check raising. All right, so we have that. Key here is that the turn king helps our range. Not only helps, but really helps our range. So kind of clarify that this is following a flop check. So we should be betting our turn, nearly 100%. And I can't remember what percentage that was. 83%. At the time, which is almost our entire checking range. All right, so we're going to do this. So if we bet here, as we should have, and he calls, then we continue with the bet because the king helps us. Queens become a check. Gives us an open ender. We don't want to bet, get raised, and have to give up. So if we bet and he raises us, yeah, we don't. I mean, we'll still call. We're still in. Well, we're calling with quads. We bet some of our queens. He calls. Now he's calling with a decent range. So, all right. So I think we looked at it. In terms of this hand, I really probably should have c-bet. I had queens betting, which is right, but I had the reverse. I kind of assumed queens were going to be mixed. Sometimes bet, sometimes check, which is right, but then we would be checking more the kings and aces, and that's the wrong side of things. We are betting like ace king. We have some bets in our ace queen. We're just betting a c bet because I think villain's going to be folding a little too much. We're betting all of the tens to trip tens. That was also, I guess those bets are going to protect all of the other bets that we have instead of the check. So our full house then and our quads, we'll have some checks along with those, just to be kind of balanced. All right, so hopefully you enjoy this hand. This is a little bit of a long one. We'll end here. I'm going to finish taking some notes here just so we can improve the game. If you like this hand, look tomorrow for another.